everyone. Thank you for joining me on this webinar. Just as I let everyone in from the waiting room, just to let you know that we're going to be talking today about the 7 game-changing website tips for sports bodies in 2025. Now, if there's any technical issues, if you can't hear me or see my screen, just feel free to pop a message in the chat and we'll do our very best to help you. Otherwise, we'll assume all is good and we will make a start. So in case you haven't come across me before, my name is Will. I am the Managing Director here at Webbox. I founded the agency 16 years ago, and we work with a wide variety of sports organisations such as the Welsh Rugby Union, Honolulu Marathon, Twickenham Stadium, Welsh Athletics, Welsh Gymnastics, and so on, to help them deliver website transformation projects and digital marketing. And over the last 16 years, we've seen lots of change within the industry, and I've kind of gathered some of those insights and experience to bring you this webinar today. Now, before we make a start, just to say that we are recording today's session, so we'll be able to share a copy of that with you shortly for you to share maybe internally within your organizations. Also, I'd love to get you involved in today's session. So if you've got any questions as we go through this content, please feel free to put them in the chat and I'll leave some time at the end to answer them. And then also we'd love your feedback on this session. You can drop us a message or tag us on socials with any feedback or actually any topics that you'd like us to cover in future sessions. So during today's webinar, I'm going to be talking about the 7 game-changing website tips that are going to help sports bodies drive better digital performance in 2025 and beyond. And digital expectations are continuing to rise. No doubt you will have seen this as well. So your website is no longer just a brochure. It's the hub for participation, communication, results and revenue generation, or at least it should be. Now in today's session, I'll walk you through these practical tips and kind of insights. And the 7 are built up from things that we've seen work really well for our clients. So hopefully they can do the same for you as well. Now, hopefully there are things as well that are quite practical that you can take away and implement. So maybe if you're in a comms or marketing role within a sports body, there are things that you could maybe do yourself internally as well. So let's dive straight in with our first tip. And this is having your membership system integrated into your website. Now, just a really quick kind of show of hands, if we could do this using the Zoom hands up feature, that'd be great. So if you could find the hands up feature in Zoom and just pop your hand up if your membership system is integrated with your website at the moment. So I'll just take a quick look to see how many hands we've got up. Okay, not many. Okay. No hands, and I think this probably demonstrates my point, okay? So at the moment, we are finding that most sports bodies and organisations that we work with are not integrating their sports membership system with their website, and I think today's quick show of hands is a sign of that as well. So one of the biggest wins for sports bodies is having a fully integrated membership system. Now, instead of juggling spreadsheets and emails and disconnected platforms, everything lives in one place. And that means that kind of new registrations, renewals, event licensing, safeguarding checks, and so on are just so much easier to manage. Now, when connected properly, the system should link into things like event bookings and coaching courses and competition entries so that your members only need to log in once. That makes life easier for your members, your kind of athletes, coaches, parents, officials, and so on, but also gives you internal advantages for your staff and volunteers, hopefully giving them back valuable time. Now, finally, the data that you collect is also really powerful. So you can start to spot trends in participation, measure retention rates, and so on. Even understand where new members are coming from. Now, that turns your website into more than just a communication tool, but it really starts to become the kind of heartbeat for your organization. Now, as I said at the start, most organizations are not doing this, but the ones that are seeing huge time benefits and efficiency benefits as everything starts to, kind of come together. The website and membership system speaking to each other can just have huge efficiencies. So, as maybe a starting point, I'd really encourage you to maybe speak with the provider of your membership system to see whether it's possible even for it to integrate into your website. Okay, let's move on to the second one, and this is all about fixtures, results, and rankings. Now, another game-changing feature is how you handle your fixtures, results, and rankings. For many athletes, coaches, and fans, this is probably the primary reason why they even visit your website time and time again. Now, if the experience is slow, confusing, just really cumbersome, then they'll just stop coming back, or they'll just get more frustrated every time that they do come back to check these results. Now, a strong website system should display results in real time with clear navigation to find fixtures and league tables and other things that might be relevant to your sports body. Integrating this with your membership or event systems can also save duplication and ensure accuracy. Now, from a web development perspective, when we're thinking about rankings, if you were to use structured data, and there is actually a sports event schema, which Google have, then it can help Google and other platforms display your events and results directly in search results pages, which will then improve your visibility. So this not only keeps your members engaged, but also positions your organization as the trusted go-to source for this information. So I'd really encourage you again to think about how you display fixtures and results on your website. Think about how they could be integrated on your site so that you keep users and data in one place. And then when it comes to rankings, actually harness those fixtures and results so that Google have more visibility over them and can hopefully give you a better ranking for it. Now, the third tip is including participation and community tools within your platform. So this area is all about turning interest into participation. A website should make it as easy as possible for someone to get involved in your sport, whether that's finding their nearest club, booking onto a coaching course, or registering for a competition. Features like a find a club search or an online booking system reduce barriers to entry and give potential participants instant answers. This is particularly important for parents, newcomers, and those considering trying your sport for the first time. Community-driven features also make a difference. So think stories from athletes, photos from events, or even gamified elements like challenges. These not only showcase the vibrancy of your sport, but also encourage people to come back time and time again to your site. These tools transform your site from just being informational to actually being an active driver of participation, which is obviously so important for sports bodies nowadays. Moving on to our fourth tip, and this is personalization. And I'll be honest, it's probably one of our favorites here at Webbox. So personalization is becoming the norm in a lot of digital experiences, and sports bodies can benefit hugely from it. By tailoring content to different audiences, you make the site feel directly relevant to each visitor. Now, this could be as simple as showing local clubs and events based on a user's postcode, or surfacing content that matches their previous activity on the site. So for example, if someone always checks youth competition results, they could be shown the latest youth fixtures first. Now, personalization also boosts engagement and conversions. So whether it's encouraging someone to renew their membership, sign up for a course, or book a ticket, the right content at the right time increases the likelihood they'll take action. Now, the result of implementing this is just a smoother user journey, less frustration, and a site that feels like it's working with the visitor, not against them. Now, for those who are looking to really push the boat out and kind of take this to the next level, you could also incorporate AI-powered personalization. So this is really powerful. So what the AI does is it starts to understand more about that user, the content that they're reading, the information that's of interest to them, so that it can really start to tailor the recommended content, search results, and other areas on the site. So think about this. If someone was, let's say, looking at courses or events on your website, often at the bottom of those pages, you might have a list of related events or courses or upcoming events or courses. Now, that list is often just manually selected within your system. So you might be thinking, if they're looking at this course, they might also be interested in this course. However, that's based on our preference and what we think the user is going to be interested in. But of course, everyone is different. Now, if we make that powered by AI, then the AI can put in front of that user specifically related courses and events solely for them, because then like a user navigating the website next door in another room would see different related events. It's really, really powerful to increasing click-through rate and engagement on your site. Now, at Webbox, we're big believers in kind of making sure that we harness the data that we collect. And therefore, just a little tip to leave you with is to really start to learn from the data that is gathered through your website and to constantly evolve your website based on what that data is telling you. Now, a great platform that you could use is Hotjar, and Hotjar do have free plans, also paid plans, but you could start as a starting point on a free plan, integrate Hotjar with your website and start to better understand how users are engaging with your website. So it gives you everything from user journeys, how people kind of go from A to B on your site. It gives you heat maps so you understand how far down they scroll on each page. But one of the best features is it actually records the screen of the user so that you can see how they engage with your site. It's a little bit freaky, but it's like looking over their shoulder as they browse around your site. And you can see where they move their mouse, which is often where their eyes are focused. And you can understand where the maybe pain points are when it comes to navigation, all the way through to what is getting their attention. So if you haven't already, I'd really suggest that you put Hotjar on your website to start to learn more about people and how they engage on your site. Now, the fifth tip I want to share with you today is making the most of commercial opportunities. Now, for most sports bodies, generating income is a constant challenge, and your website can play a role in opening up commercial opportunities. Now, first up, let's think about sponsors and partners. Now, they want visibility, so your site should offer prime real estate for logos, content, or even interactive partner campaigns. But when positioned well, this strengthens relationships and increases sponsorship value. Now, this doesn't need to just be large banner adverts that you have plastered all over your website. You could also think differently about things like sponsored blog posts, where maybe a sponsor could pay for a blog post on your website to promote their product or service. And things like this can really maximize your commercial opportunities. Secondly, your site can be a direct revenue generator through the obvious things like tickets and course sign-ups and merchandise sales. Now, an integrated e-commerce system makes it really easy for visitors to browse, purchase, and check out, all without the friction. So that's another opportunity which you could kind of pursue. And finally, there are opportunities in digital advertising and activations. So this could be running targeted campaigns during major events or offering exclusive content to paying members. And by diversifying your income streams, your organization becomes more financially sustainable and less reliant solely on membership fees or external funding. Now, one of the big things that we've seen in this area is the need to evidence the involvement of a sponsor through data. And of course, no one's going to renew their kind of sponsorship with you if they don't feel like they're getting value off the back of it. So one of our tips is to make sure that you can provide this data to your sponsors to make sure that they are paying the right fees, but also to make sure that they renew year on year. So one of the ways you can do that is to create a Google Looker Studio dashboard. Now, the Google Looker Studio is a platform that allows you to pull data from lots of different sources. So you could pull data from Google Analytics. You could also pull data from things like your Facebook page, Instagram page. If you're running ads, maybe on any of those channels, you could pull through data from those and so on. And it pulls all of these into one central dashboard, and then it highlights the KPIs that matter most to you and your sponsors. So if your sponsors are most interested in how many clicks did your website generate through to theirs, then we could surface that as a KPI. Or how many impressions did they get for a particular banner ad? All of this kind of data can be surfaced in a custom Google Looker Studio dashboard, which all of a sudden makes the sponsorship opportunity on your website far more valuable and far more transparent. Okay, let's move on to our sixth point, and this is all about accessibility. Again, just using the hands up feature within Zoom, I'd love you to pop your hands up if you considered accessibility when you last built your website. So quick hands up if you last, when you built the website last, you considered accessibility. Okay, great. So I've got a couple of hands going up now. Fantastic. Lovely. Okay, so in percentage-wise, we're about 30%. Okay, so 30% of people on today's webinar considered accessibility when they last built their website. Okay, thank you so much for taking part. Really appreciate that. Okay, so 30% is fantastic. Of course, we'd love the number to be higher. But accessibility is not just a compliance box, okay? It's not something we just kind of tick and forget, nor is it something which it just applies to public sector websites. But actually, it's about ensuring that everyone, regardless of ability, can engage with your sport. Now, I'm sure you've heard of some of the kind of leading standards here. So one of them is the WCAG 2.2 standard. Now, this kind of outlines how your website should kind of apply those rules, should we say, to make sure that your website is accessible to the largest range of users. So it might be things like having larger touch targets for mobile users, having a clear color contrast, allowing your website to be navigated through a keyboard, and also sometimes having alternatives for visual or audio content. And let's remember that these things are not extras or nice to haves, but in our opinion and within our industry, they are essential to have on your website. Now, good accessibility design doesn't just benefit those with disabilities, but actually improves usability for everyone. So from maybe a coach who's slightly older and struggles with small text on a website, to a parent trying to register their child for an upcoming course or an event on their mobile phone. it can help everyone at every stage in the journey. Now, by embedding accessibility into your site, you're also sending a strong message that your sport is inclusive, welcoming, and forward-thinking. So there's lots of benefits. But as obviously today's little survey has shown us, a lot of people don't necessarily put accessibility at the heart of their website. And we'd really encourage you to consider how you can make your websites more accessible to the widest range of users. Now we're on to number 7, and this is taking a mobile-first approach with your website. So the vast majority of people now access sport-related content through their phones, whether they're checking live scores, finding directions to a venue, registering for an event. The data that we gather says that it is the majority of traffic comes from a mobile rather than a desktop. Probably no surprise in 2025, but it's important to remind ourselves of that. Now, of course, that's an average stat, and there will be a couple of sports bodies who buck that trend, but you should find in your own data that that's the case for you too. Now, that means that your website should be designed from a mobile-first perspective, not just adapted as an afterthought. So focus on fast load times, clear call to actions, and layouts that are easy to use with a thumb. Think about real world contexts as well. So a parent is maybe in a sports hall and they want to check the results or book their child onto an event. This happens often on a mobile device that's not connected to Wi-Fi. Sometimes the signal can be a bit poor, or they need to find directions to where their child is playing a particular game on the weekend. You know, when our sites are cumbersome to use on a mobile device, it can be a really frustrating process. I don't know if you've been in that situation as well, but it can be really frustrating. So we should do all that we possibly can to make our website seamless on a mobile device, quick to load, so that we are helping our users get the information that they're looking for. Now, a mobile-first approach not only improves user satisfaction, but also it boosts the kind of reach and engagement. So Google have confirmed that actually when you have a truly mobile-first website that loads quickly, you will rank better for doing that. So there's lots of benefits outside of just the kind of user experience, which is also really important, that we should be considering here. Now, a little tip for you as well is you can scan this QR code, which will take you to Google's page speed checker. And you can run your website through that tool, and it'll give you a score out of 100 as to how it rates the page speed and mobile experience of your website. Now, it's a really interesting tool because it'll be quite a practical thing for you to do because it actually gives you a to-do list based on what it finds of your site. But Google have recently increased the kind of good standard from 80% to 90%. So it's now really important that your website is rated 90% or higher for both your mobile and desktop sites. So yeah, have a little look at that QR code. I can share a link as well afterwards. But really important to run our sites through that tool and just see how it is rated and hopefully get some helpful feedback as well on how to improve it if it needs improving. Now, a quick couple of things before we kind of wrap up. So I want to leave you some closing thoughts regarding the digital landscape for sports bodies as we see it. So search engines, and particularly Google, are changing the way that they display information. No doubt you've seen the AI overviews and other kind of AI modes that are part of Google now. And these things like AI overviews appear at the top of a search results page, often pulling in quick answers that reduce traditional clicks through to a website. Now, for sports bodies, this means that being accurate, timely, and having structured data in place is more important than ever. So by marking up your fixtures, results, events, and key content with structured data, which is a code kind of thing that you'd have to do, a technical thing. What it can do is help Google understand more about what it is that you provide, what it is that you kind of are as an organization, and help you have better rankings within these AI overviews and other event listings. So the bigger picture is this. User expectations online are only going one way. They're rising year on year. And people are using mobile devices more and more. So actually, as sports bodies, we need to ensure that we are tailoring our website to what is happening in the real world. You know, people want fast, relevant, and personalized experiences. And I really feel that sports bodies have got a great opportunity to embrace these changes now and to actually lead the way in 2025 and beyond. So I hope that these 7 tips have given you some ideas to take away and to implement on your website. Now, a lot of them can be implemented in-house, but of course, we'd always welcome a conversation if you could do with any assistance with any of these. Now, before we just move to short timer questions, if there are any, so if there are questions, please pop them in the chat. I just want to share a couple of things with you. So first up, at Webbox, we've got a whole suite of documents and guides that could help you in your day-to-day role. I've listed some of them here on the screen. So if any of those might be relevant to you, I'll send a link shortly and you can download them from our website. Please make use of them and hopefully they can help you in your day-to-day role. Secondly, we're offering attendees of our webinars a free website or PPC audit. This is not a automated process. This is one of our team taking the time to go through your website. We can benchmark it against the 7 things we've shared today, but plus lots of other factors. And we'll share that audit with you over a playback call and give you some tailored advice and tips on how you could improve your website. So if that's of interest, you can request a free audit using that QR code. And again, I'll send a link out later in case that's of interest to anyone. And then finally, we run a number of these webinars, normally a couple each month. So if any of our upcoming topics are of interest to you, you can scan this QR code, head over to our Eventbrite page, and you can follow us there and you can register for any of the topics that might be of interest to you. One of my favorites coming up soon is the 2026 website checklist, 15 essentials you can't ignore. So maybe that might be of interest to you if you're looking to push the boundaries of your website next year. Okay, so we've hit the time for some questions. I'm just going to open up my chat and see if we've had any questions come through. So let's have a look here. Okay, great. So I've got 2 questions that have just been sent to me directly. So feel free to pop them in the chat or the Q&A. I don't mind. I can check both of those. So let me just read you the first one. Okay, so got a question here saying our membership system is not connected to our website at the moment. I'm not sure if it's possible to. I'll do it again. I'm not sure if it's possible to connect it. Sorry. What would you advise? Okay. So first things first is most membership platforms are obviously operated by a third party. They're generic systems, and most of them do allow an integration with a website. There are some that don't, but the vast majority do. So I think the first step would be to have a conversation with the provider of that membership system to understand which methods they would allow a website integration. So for example, that might be using an API, which is like a bridge which sits between a website and a system. Or it could just be maybe exporting data on a scheduled basis from the membership system, which could then be imported into the website. There's a number of ways to do it, but I think the first step would be to speak to the company that provides the membership system, understand how it could be integrated with a website, and then speak with your website developers or your agency to understand how we can make that link. But the ideal scenario would be to link those two through an API, so that you can start to bring, membership information and events and other things through to the website, and then everything is in one place. Hopefully that answers the question, but if there's anything as a follow-up, please let me know. Okay, I've got one other here. So it says, the results of our events are posted on another portal, which is managed by the UK-wide NGB. What would you suggest we do in this instance? Okay, yeah, so we've got a few clients actually in a similar position where they might be an NGB of a region, but it's the NGB UK-wide that maybe posts the results or fixtures onto a UK-wide platform. There's nothing wrong with that, because of course it's all part of the same sport, and the experience I'm sure would be relatively good. But the pinnacle that we try and aim for is that everything is on your website, so that people don't need to go off to third-party systems and platforms to kind of find information. So the ideal scenario would be that maybe you speak with the UK-wide NGB and maybe try and understand again if there's any integration options so that you could pull that information onto your website, so that the members of your region can actually just go to your website and find that information. But that's the ideal. Look, I appreciate it's not always possible. So if that's not possible, then I would say just make sure that it's really clear that users will find results on that third-party website, and just consider the user journey for your own members as to how they land on your site and then go off to this third-party portal for the results, and just make sure that's as seamless and as quick as possible. Okay, great stuff. So that's some questions I've had sent to me. I'm just checking the chat once more in case there was anything else. Q&A. No, that's good. Okay, great stuff. If there are any questions, even after this session, please feel free to drop me a message. I'm more than happy to kind of come back to you via email. But for now, I just want to say a massive thank you for joining me on this session. I really hope it's been useful to you. We'll follow up shortly with a copy of the recording and some other resources for you. But for now, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and thank you for joining this session.